Thank you, Micheál. Taoiseach, it's been 18 months now since I began raising with you the issue of the removal of discretionary medical cards from very sick children and people with life-limiting and life-threatening conditions. And you have, in fairness, moved from a position then of total denial of any policy change, which resulted in such a dramatic and high number of cards being removed from so many deserving people. You moved from denial to then blaming a systems failure. And the latest the latest phrase given to this policy decision of the government is unintended consequence of a budgetary decision. This is how Minister Riley put it today. Now, I can put it to you, Taoiseach, is that it's some hell of an unintended consequence for thousands of families across the country. Because, Taoiseach, you've put families through hell and back in terms of the anxiety caused, the stress caused, and the expense that many have had to fork out as a result. Now, today we've had an announcement from the Minister in relation to a decision which the government says will do administratively to restore some of these medical cards that have been removed, these discretionary medical cards that have been removed from people. And we're hearing that it's around 15,000 such medical cards will be removed. Now, Taoiseach, I'm going to put it to you that it's still going on as we speak. It's still going on. I don't know whether you read page 10 of the Irish Daily Mail today, for example. Desperate case of a young 12-year-old Cormac O'Neill, born with a rare filamin A gene disorder. The family have spent in 1 month alone €850 in relation to his medicines, and the card was taken from him. Likewise, another case I received yesterday from a mother of a child with a very rare condition. Again, the card removed from a 13-year-old child with multiple disabilities. I can give you the case. And a third case I have as well, a 5-year-old who lost the medical card, has had it since he was 2 years of age. It's just unbelievable, Taoiseach, that it continues to go on. So what I want to ask you, Taoiseach, is in relation to the decision that has been taken, will you first of all outline to the House how many cards will be restored? And will all of those who lost discretionary medical cards have them restored? And secondly, those who lost their medical cards as a result of these decisions, will they be refunded for the cost of medication that they've incurred since the discretionary medical cards were wrongly taken from them?
Thank you.
And thirdly, Taoiseach, given all of the stress and anxiety caused, will you now, on behalf of the government, apologise to all the families concerned who wrongly had their discretionary medical cards taken from them?
Taoiseach.
This matter actually is one that that's not as simple as it looks, Deputy Martin. The Minister for Health brought a memo before the government today to approve the reinstatement by the HSE of cards that were withdrawn on foot of a person's circumstances, where the HSE had considered that the exercise of discretion should be taken into account where medical circumstances applied. And that goes back to the 1st of July 2011 until the 31st of May 2014 inclusive, where the decision was made to centralise the examination of medical card applications. Deputy Martin is aware that the exercise of discretionary right for medical cards varied greatly between county to county. In other words, in some counties, depending on the nature of the examination, the approval rate for discretionary cards could be very high and very low in others. So the decision to centralise and have equality of examination resulted in very many families being severely inconvenienced, and for that I'm very sorry that many of these cases that were brought to light on foot of the examination of discretion really did cause a great deal of stress for people. I understand, Deputy Martin, that the I think it's about, I don't have the exact figure now, but I think it's about 13,000 cards, 13,000 that will be restored, and I'll have to get that exact figure for you, that will be restored to people who had cards that were awarded on a discretionary basis taken off them since the decision to centralise the examination system, and that they should receive those cards back inside the next 4 weeks. Now the question that arises from that, obviously, is what do you do in respect of the ordinary medical cards, for which applications are being made, for which a review continues, or for which an appeal is lodged. But the first criteria here was to deal with cards that had been withdrawn, that had been issued on a discretionary basis, where undue hardship applied and where there were particular medical circumstances. And we've had, obviously, numbers of those outlined here in the House over the last period, and the impact that it was having on families. Now, I haven't seen the paper that you refer to today, or the cases that you speak of, but the decision made by the government was to cease the review that was underway in respect of discretionary cards that were awarded. So people who have had a discretionary card given to them, that card should continue because of the suspension of the review examination. So I don't know the cases that you speak of, but following the decision of the government, their holding of a discretionary card should continue. I'll have those checked, but in respect of the decision made today, clearly the decision here was to deal clearly with those who had been awarded discretionary cards, and that for whatever reason those cards were withdrawn from them on review. So there's an administrative issue here as distinct from a legal issue. The point is, give the cards back to the people who had them awarded on discretion, and in those cases where they lost it because of the review that was carried out.
Thank you.
Very serious issue here, Taoiseach, in the sense that you're saying 13,000, and the Minister has something similar in his press release. I think he's 15. But the bottom line, Taoiseach, is if you look at the HSE performance report of January 2011, there were 80,000 discretionary medical cards. If you look at a reply that we got the end of April, from Minister Alex White, who you'd be very familiar with, his medical cards, he's saying about 50,000 discretionary medical cards. That means 30,000 medical cards were taken from people over that period. Not 13. Or not 15, Taoiseach. So what about the other 15,000? Will they have their discretionary medical cards restored or not?
Thank you.
Because there's too much of this going on and playing around with the figures. These are official sources, Taoiseach, that I'm quoting from. The HSE performance report of January 2011 and Minister White's PQ 540 of the 10th of June 2014. So that's 80,000 to 50,000.
So, thank you.
30,000 were taken back. Now, I asked you, Taoiseach, would those who lost them also receive a refund? Because clearly by restoring them in the aftermath of the elections, you're obviously accepting that they were wrongly taken. So I take it that all the extra medication costs and other costs with therapists and so on like that will be restored to those who lost their cards. But critically, we want to find out about the other 15,000 who had their medical cards, discretionary medical cards taken from them, and who also should have them restored. Thank you.
Taoiseach.
Well, the estimate here, Deputy Martin, is that the cost of restoring of the discretionary cards is approximately 13 million, and the government approved that today. The information that's available is that the average cost of 1,130 per annum per discretionary card is what's involved here. There were 5,288 discretionary medical cards were refused renewal. The reinstatement cost is 1,130 per case. There were 7,118 discretionary medical cards were refused renewal and were replaced with a GP visit card. The reinstatement cost in each case is 880. And there were 2,899 discretionary GP visit cards were refused renewal, and the reinstatement cost is 250 in each case. So the estimated annual cost then is 13 million in respect to those. So while it's recognised that the Director General of the HSE may act on his or her own initiative to take account of an ad misericordiam appeal on a case-by-case basis to reinstate a discretionary card where, due to exceptional individual medical circumstances, the person did not respond or reply either in the review or the appeal system that was going on. The estimate here is 13,300 cards at a cost of 13 million. And these were cards where discretion was applied since the 1st of July 2011, and that those cards were withdrawn on review. As you're aware, the vast majority of cards were re-awarded to people. Medical cards were re-awarded to people. Of the numbers here approved by government are of the order of 13,300 at a cost of 13 million, and they should get back those discretionary cards in the next 4 weeks.
Thank you.
I don't know the 5 cases or the 10 cases that Deputy Martin mentions, but the review of discretionary cards that were held by people has been suspended, and the value of those discretionary cards should continue.